In the summer of 2018, Build-A-Bear ran a one-day promotional event where customers could purchase a bear for the price equal to that of the child buying it. So for example, a 6-year-old would pay $6 for the bear they wanted. However, this promptly created problems almost immediately due to the elasticity of the customer's demand. In economic terms, elasticity is customers' change in demand in response to price changes. If customers' demand changes drastically in response to price fluctuations, that is considered elastic. However, if consumers' demand stays relatively the same after price changes, that is considered inelastic. So how does price elasticity tie into the situation with Build-A-Bear? Well, let's just say consumers were extremely elastic in their response to the price change, with hundreds of people lining up in droves before the stores even opened in the malls across the country. And this quickly caused a full-fledged fiasco for Build-A-Bear. For starters, there were a bunch of kids running around causing havoc across the store. Meanwhile, their parents stood in line for hours. And economically, Build-A-Bear didn't seem to account for the massive change in demand by adding more supply. So after a few hours of the sale, they had to close the store, leaving a large portion of the people still in line. Furthermore, they didn't seem to consider the massive cuts to their profit margins that would come with this event. The standard Build-A-Bear typically costs between $15 and $20, and that's just for a plain bear. If you include accessories and add-ons such as smell or clothes, they could easily cost between $40 to $50 and even more. So giving a $50 bear away to a 5-year-old would be a 90% loss in revenue for Build-A-Bear, which is a lot even if you're running it for just a day. I think it's safe to say that any economist would strongly advise Build-A-Bear to not run this event anymore. This situation with Build-A-Bear reminds me of something similar done by 7-Eleven, in which they run a day where you could bring your own Slurpee cup, where customers could do exactly that by bringing whatever they want to hold as much Slurpee as possible. Now this wasn't quite as disastrous for 7-Eleven as it was for Build-A-Bear, because there are generally more 7-Elevens around the average city than Build-A-Bears, so lines weren't quite as long, and each Slurpee only cost a few dollars, so they weren't taking as much profit loss. However, even 7-Eleven suffered from a shortage in supply after the demand had increased so heavily, so they started recently restricting the size of cup you could bring to account for this. And Build-A-Bear seemed to realize their mistake, as 2018 was the only year they ran this event, and they've instead chosen to do a pay your age on your birthday type of thing, so there wasn't such a dramatic elastic response for consumers. In conclusion, Build-A-Bear's Pay Your Age Day illustrates how prices can have a massive effect on consumers' demand, and how elastic consumers can be when it comes to more luxury items like these toys. It also demonstrates how important it is for businesses to consider the effects of supply and demand curves when doing promotional events like these.